The clock on the wall glowed 1:47 a.m. inside the top floor of Eliantech Tower. Most of the city slept below, but up here, the hum of computers and the faint tapping of keys filled the air like a heartbeat refusing to stop. Ethan Vale, 35 billionaire CEO, stared at the same spreadsheet for the 10th time. His jaw was clenched, his tie loosened, and the sharpness in his blue eyes had dulled into exhaustion. For 2 days, his best programmers had been trying to fix a fatal error in their new AI system, a bug that had frozen the platform mid-operation during a $200 million investor demo. The company's reputation, stock, and his pride were on the line. He slammed his pen down. "What am I missing?" The silence mocked him. That's when he heard the faint swish-swish of a mop. Ethan looked up. Across the glass hall, a woman in a gray uniform was quietly cleaning the marble floors. She was small, with dark hair pulled into a neat bun, her movements graceful but deliberate. The security badge clipped to her apron read Sophia Reyes. She noticed his stare and froze mid-motion. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know anyone was still here," she said, her voice soft but trembling slightly. "It's fine," Ethan muttered, rubbing his temples. "I should have gone home hours ago." She smiled politely and went back to work, until her gaze flicked toward his massive monitor filled with red error codes. Without thinking, she spoke. "Looks like a recursive overflow loop." Ethan's head snapped up. "What did you say?" Her eyes widened. "Oh, nothing, sir. I studied a bit of programming before." She trailed off, gripping the mop handle tighter. "Before what?" She hesitated. "Before my mom got sick. I had to drop out of university." Something in her voice, quiet regret, quiet strength, made him pause. Then he gave a faint, humorless smile. "Well, Miss Reyes, if you have any ideas, you're welcome to join my overpaid tech team." To his surprise, she walked closer. "May I?" Ethan blinked. "You're serious?" Sophia nodded. "If I'm wrong, you can fire me. I could use the break anyway." He gestured to the computer, intrigued. "Go ahead." She stepped behind the desk, gently pushed her hair behind her ear and stared at the screen. The code scrolled endlessly, a nightmare of logic and loops. Her brow furrowed as she muttered softly, fingers tracing invisible lines in the air. "You're missing a nested function," she said finally, sitting down. "It's cycling the data too fast." Before he could question her, her fingers flew across the keyboard, confident, precise, almost musical. Within seconds, she isolated the corrupted line, rewrote a segment, and recompiled the code. The system blinked once. Then, green light. Stable. Ethan froze. The software had passed every diagnostic in under 10 seconds. He leaned over her shoulder, stunned. "That's impossible." Sophia looked up, smiling nervously. "Not impossible, sir. Just overlooked." For the first time in weeks, Ethan laughed, a real, startled sound. "You just saved a $200 million project," he said slowly. "And you clean floors for a living?" Her cheeks flushed. "It's an honest job." He studied her face, not just the intelligence in her eyes, but the humility behind it. "You know," he said quietly, "I don't think you'll be holding that mop much longer." Before she could respond, he added softly, almost to himself, "Sometimes, genius hides where no one bothers to look." By 9 a.m., the building buzzed with tension. Rumors spread like wildfire. The CEO had called for an emergency company-wide meeting, something he'd never done in years. Hundreds of employees crowded the lobby, confused. Department heads whispered theories about layoffs, contracts, or the failed project. Then the elevator doors opened. Ethan stepped out, looking every bit the commanding executive. Dark suit, calm eyes, controlled presence. But behind him, walking nervously, was Sophia, now wearing a modest white blouse and black trousers. The crowd went quiet. Ethan stepped up to the podium, placed his phone down and let the silence stretch. Then he said clearly, "Last night someone saved this company." A murmur ran through the room. He continued, "While our senior engineers were sleeping, or panicking, someone with no title, no team, and no expectation of recognition fixed the error that cost us 2 days and nearly $200 million. He turned toward Sophia, whose hands trembled slightly at her sides. This woman, Ethan said, cleaned our floors for minimum wage. But she's also the only person smart enough to do what the rest of us couldn't. Gasps rippled through the hall. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. So starting today, Ethan said, voice firm but warm, Sophia Reyes is no longer our janitor. She's joining our software team as lead systems analyst. Applause erupted. A few engineers clapped slowly at first. Then everyone joined in. Even the executives in designer suits bowed their heads slightly, humbled. Sophia covered her mouth, overwhelmed.
Sir, I don't even know what to say. Ethan smiled.
You've already said enough. You spoke through your work. He lowered his voice, leaning closer so only she could hear. You don't realize it, but you've just reminded me what leadership is about. Seeing people, listening, believing. She blinked through her tears. Thank you for believing in me. He shook his head gently. No, Sophia, you made it impossible not to. As the applause filled the room, Ethan caught her gaze, and for the first time, he saw the kind of brilliance money couldn't buy. That morning, a maid became the mind behind a miracle, and the CEO who thought he'd seen everything realized he'd only just begun to look.